Hello and welcome to the new dashboard tutorial where I want to show you from a beginner's perspective or beginner friendly project in the HR analytics. And HR analytics dashboard, basically the whole idea over here is to give an high level information to your, let's say, HR executive or department executive, because this dashboard I have created is to look at individual department. So what I have here at the top is the department, like for which department you want to look at. Like for example, you want to look at auditing department, you want to look at accounting department, or you want to look at human resources department. And based on the selection that you are doing on the department, you will be able to see the KPI, like so far how many total employees you have had in this organization, or you are basically right from all the way from 2001 to 2020 total employees. But what are currently the active employees, what is their average stay duration, and the remotees, how many remotees you are having, and what is the average age for of employees within this department, right? So some very high level but important KPIs just to understand the overall what type of how many people we have, how long they stay with us, and whether they are in headquarters or in remote location, and what is the general what is the average age, or whether we have young population. Like for example, human resources, you have 38 years, but in case of engineering still 38, and the number of remotees and stay duration is slightly better as compared to the human resources. So these are some of the high level KPI, just to give a quick insight as to what is the overall object based on the objective of the department. How do you want to manage it? You have these KPIs, right? And generally these are created based on the discussion. So if I show you, I basically noted what is the KPI that I need to create for this dashboard. And for example, total employees, active employees, average stay duration, count of remotees, average age of employees. So all of this information generally comes after a round of discussions with the relevant stakeholders who may want to see this information, or who are actual users. And based on your round of discussions, okay, what should be my KPIs and all, then you decide, okay, what other information in terms of metric you want to show or view. Like you want to view total versus active employee, count of remotees, average stay by job title, average age, count by buckets. So these like 4 or 5 metrics, let's say they want to view. So these probably are the finalized one, let's say from a brainstorming session you have had for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours as to what are all the metrics that are possibly there. But not everything you can create, or not everything you can show in the dashboard. So you start with these 4 metrics, and that's what I have shown here. Like how many total and active employees we have had in over a period of years. Then remote versus headquarter employee, just to understand the health as to whether we have more remotees or more employees who are working from the headquarter location. And then we have expanded on this average age. If you see average tenure, like 11 years. So based on the job titles, like maximum statisticians who are staying, all the way go down to information systems manager who are just staying for 2 years. So this gives you by the job title what type of tenure it is, and similarly the average age based on the job title. So let's say if this is what they wanted to see, you are showing them all of this information, which is easy to view, and you are basically giving them, okay, this is the first pass, and maybe in coming days you will see more and more pages added. And that is what I will going to do in this dashboard series. Like on the HR analytics, I will just try to show you from couple of more dimensions as to what other dashboards that you can create based on this data. So based on this data, so where is this data? Data is present over here. This is the location. You can find it in the description, and in the description you have this human resources data set. you can click here and it will take you to the dataset, and location is data.world. So once I downloaded this, this is how the dataset really looks like. For example, you have this ID, you have first name, last name, you have birth date. This is where we are calculating the age, what is the gender, what is the race, department, job title, location, hire date, terminate date, location, city, and location state. So first thing about this data set is it is a fake data set, because if you see this is a real world fake data. This is a community project for curating the amazing examples for Tableau community. However, you can use it for anything like in Power BI and all, and that is my plan. I'm first creating it in the Tableau, and then I will going to create a similar dashboard in the Power BI if let's say you want to see it in the Power BI. And as I mentioned earlier as well, this will going to be maybe 3 or 4 or 5 dashboard series on the HR itself. So make sure you let me know in the comments what do you want to see, because if you see over here, we have not done anything related to the gender, we have not done anything related to the race, right? And but we have also not done anything related to the location. So there is a lot of opportunity to explore this data and come out with more dashboards. Okay, so coming back to our example, let me bring the Tableau here. So all in all, just so that we are not too slow, not too quick, what I want to show you is how I am creating each and every dashboard. How I'm creating this final output, and you know, that will be more like a step by step, but instead of recreating that will take hours, I will simply go ahead and show you what I am doing, right? So if you see this filters I added later, so ignore this for now, because if you see, you have department and you have year, hire date, where I have just removed the year 2000. Why I have removed this? Because it was partial data, not the full data. So I removed it. All right. So first thing first is, if you see, I am using this title. If I double click over here, this is the title. Generally, it takes the sheet title. So, but I have overridden this and give it total employees. And I'm using Tableau regular font 11, and the color that I'm using is, if I give you the color code, this is but basically the ocean color. If you want to take the real color code, this is what the real hexa code 074080. So I'm using it consistently across, and that is one of the reasons or one of the ways to create a good looking dashboards. Like you have this color in the bold, and then in the KPIs you have not regular title. Over here you have the regular title, so everything looks like consistent with a good background and all. So white background, and then count of ID. So this is basically the ID. ID is nothing but employee ID. So if we take the count district, or even if we take the count, this will give you the total employees. So that's the first KPI what we had. And I will show you some of the settings that I have done over here. So once we have the total KPI, we go to the active employees. So for the active employees, I have created this formula, and this is nothing but if I'm just simply saying that ways whomsoever we have in the hiring date and remove the terminate date. So that will basically going to give me the final count of the active employees, and then I can put it on my dimension like year to get it. So based on this hire date and terminate date, I get active employees. So this is my second KPI. And if you are wondering the KPI formatting, so over here, this is basically in the alignment. This is the center, this is the top. And over here, if you see, I'm using this entire view, right? If you are not getting this output, this is all entire view. Again, similar formatting everywhere, top, center. So this is the second KPI. The third KPI is the average stay duration. So this is again a calculated column, and this is again based on terminated date minus the hire date. So that basically shows us for how long employees is staying with us. Now this can be debatable as well, because you may say that there are active employees as well, and they are still staying. Yes, and you are right. So that's why I said it is debatable. It has to be based on how do you want to see the data. You can basically say that average stay duration is for active employees. You can create a if condition, like if it is not terminated, then hire date today minus hire date. But if it is terminated, then it should be terminated date minus hire date. So you can modify the formula like that. Here in this case, I have only taken the duration for those who have been terminated, right? So this is all part of the discussion with your users when you are defining the KPI. As part of the definition, you define the data source as well as the calculation. Okay, so after that you have the count of remotely KPI. So if you see, I am showing you two different views here, like 1350 is the count and it is 25% of HQ employee. So this basically gives a manager an idea as to in terms of count as well as percentage, because percentage is a generic term you are able to interpret. You can't interpret 1350 because you don't have any comparison. But in case of 25%, you have the comparison of 100%. That means 75% of your population is in headquarters and 25% is in the remote location. All right. So this is the third KPI. And the way we are doing this, if you see sum of remotely, so remotely we have created a calculation. If I go in the edit, if location equals to remote and location is present here, if location is remote, then 1, right? And I'm just doing a sum of 1. So whatever those ones are, 1350 is basically the output. And then what we are doing is, over here I have created the dynamic calculation. If you see, first I am taking a sum of remotees because it's a 1, and then I am dividing it by the count of location. I can divide it by count of ID as well. I mean, you can debate about that as well, but I've just taken the location just to be consistent about that. And aggregate by default it will going to put, since I am doing this view. And then what I've done is I have formatted it. Go into the format, and in the pane number I have used the percentage with 0 decimal places, and that gives me the 1350 and 25%. But if you see, I have the 1350 in large and 25% is less. So what you can do is go into the text, and over here in the text, you can select this and increase it font size, and you can select this and decrease the font size. So here I'm using the 8 and here I'm using the 18, and it is tablet semi-bold. So that way you can get the next KPI. Now let's move on to the average employee age. So average employee age is again based on, if I just expand this is the average age divided by 365. So average age is over here. If I click on edit, this is today minus birth date, right? Simple calculation. And when you need to divide by 365 because the information you will going to get is in the number of days. So you need to divide it by the 365, and then you need to format it using the number custom with 0 decimal places, and you will going to get this output. But in this case, I've again modified it to say the years, YRS, and this I have done it again by going into the text, in this text option, and after the formula I've given a space and just added YRS. That's what I've done. And then you have the charts, total versus active employees. So total versus active employees, as you can see, is the area chart, and I'm using the dual axis. So what I am taking is the count of ID for total employees and count of active employees, or the sum of active employees, the aggregation for getting the active employee, and using the area chart, right? This one I am displaying this information. So first I'm creating two different area charts and then putting this dual axis. However, you can use one area chart as well, but it's just that I wanted to set some formatting and I went ahead and did that. So over here, year hire date is this, right? And because we have the less size, so it is reduced, but over here you can see that we have this size. We have all the different years, right? So that's what we are doing for count of ID and aggregated employee ID. Over here, for these calculation, the color that I'm using, let me just give it to you. So active employee is nothing but this color, and total employee, this is what the color is, 074080. Again, same thing I showed you earlier as well, right? So that's what I'm doing. And for this colors, what I'm doing is I'm going into all, enabling the label, and in the font I am using this dark gray. So font size is 7, font is semi bold, and I'm furthering making it bold because the size is small, right? So that's what I'm doing. For these colors, if you see, these colors are a little bit washed out. 60% is basically the opacity. Okay, so just wanted to show you this setting so that you can have the similar output if you want to create it. However, the whole idea is I tell you more about calculations and all, and if you want to follow this format, you can follow. Otherwise, you can have your own format as well. I have done same thing. I have duplicated this, come here, and I've just changed the aggregated HQ employee and count of remotees over here, as you can see, and I've created this chart, right? So that's something what I'm doing over here. Again, the same color and everything, 60% opacity, same colors. Over here also same font size and everything, color and everything. If you see, alignment can be one thing. It is center and bottom. So that is what I have done for both of these guys. And then my pretty much, oh yeah, we have two more chart. We have the average tenure and average age. So average tenure, as you can simply see, this is the average stay duration divided by 365. So average stay duration is here. If I just show you the calculation, again, this is terminate date minus hire date, right? And then the job title. So if let's say this is what is coming out of as part of the discussion, then we are showing this information. Now what I'm doing is I'm showing these 19 beside to this, because chart can help us look at, okay, what is the longest bar and the smallest bar. But if I use the 19 at the last, your eyes will have to work, okay, what is the statistician and who is this guy, or what is the count of this guy. So after this, so how I've done this is basically going into the label. Alignment is left and top, and we are good with this. Very simple and straightforward. And same thing I have done for average age. Age I have already told you. This is what it is, today minus birth date. And then we have this dashboard. So the way I have created this dashboard is by, if I go into the layout, I have used the styled layout and all. But the first thing first is, if let's say I go ahead and create one dashboard for you and show you right from the start. So this is what I have. What I do is I use the vertical, right? And in the vertical layout, I go inside and I use the light gray, like I have done it over here, light gray. And then in that, what I do is I first create the text, HR Analytics Dashboard. We can make it like Tableau medium, we can make it 22 or maybe 24, we can make it a little bit dark. Click OK. Depends on how much we want to do it. If you want to make it a little bit bold as well, click OK, right? So that's the first thing. And for this, I will going to use the white one. So as you can see, I'm getting the output, right? Similar type of one. However, the color is what I can choose is the ocean blue, which I showed you earlier. HR Analytics Dashboard. And then over here, if you see, these are, horizontals, right? So what I do is I add a horizontal layout over here. So I have this horizontal layout, and in that, and below to the horizontal layout, I again add the vertical layout. So I have this horizontal, I have this vertical. So in this horizontal, I can reduce this up, and I can then have the KPIs, total employees, beside to right, active employees. I'm just adding it as it is coming to me. I'm not following average employee age. Okay, so now this information is here, similar to this information, but if you see, they are a little bit more separated, right? So what I've done is I have selected each one of this, and I have gone here in the inner padding, and I increase the inner padding. That will give us more space, and it will look like a proper box. Again, I've selected this, change this to 4, select this, change this to 4, select this, change this to 4, select this, change this to 4, and this is what you get. So again, I'm not following the ordering, like average age is probably the last one over here, but this is just to give you an idea about how I've done this. Now over here we have this vertical, right? So in this vertical layout, what do we have is basically probably what I can do, I can close this, and I can have one horizontal over here. Okay, and first horizontal and second horizontal. So in the first horizontal, first and second, this is all about the placement and everything, right? And I'll just, for now, I'll just close this. I will have to then again add this horizontal because earlier container was overtaken by your legend. So I have this, and then average tenure, and we have the second one, and I will make the department floating, and I will make this from floating to single value drop down. Just reduce this and move this up here a little bit. Yep, there you go. So if you see, similar dashboard, what we have is just that I have added the legends also over here. So you can always add this by coming here, legends, color legend, and just remove that and make it floating. Remove, right click, uncheck the show title, bring it over here, expand this, and yeah, there you go, right? Similarly, do this for same thing, practice it with this one, and then you have these tenure and all. Now even for this one, I have not done this over here, but what you can do is you can always use this as 4 and 4 for even this one, right? 4 for even this one, and 4 for even this one, just so that it is better. Okay, so we have this this output. If I just select this, again go to the layout and just make sure that it is gray, that way it will start showing us the information, right? So this is what mainly I wanted to show you, how you can create an output like this, which I have done it over here. And then I will just look at where my department is. Filters, department. I will just make it again floating. I don't know where it disappeared, but I can always bring it back, and you can do this single value drop down and over here you have this. Okay, and select this, come on more options, apply to worksheet, all using this data source. Make sure this one is selected, right? And then we can select like auditing, or we can select accounting or marketing. Whatever we select, we get this information. So that's mainly I wanted to show you very quickly as to how you can create a dashboard like this one. But like I was mentioning it earlier, I want to create it more like a series, so maybe 3 or 4 different dashboards in coming days, or maybe a story, just to investigate a specific problem. I'm still brainstorming that. So stay tuned. Let me know what do you think about this dashboard and all, and I will meet you in the next video with that new dashboard.